What if at the very end, episode 8 airs, and then it's like, actually, we hired him first, and we lied to you guys?
One of the first things out of my mouth when I started, I was like, you better not be.
Tickets are on sale for KFC Radio Live. Click the link in the bio. Get yours. Come out and hang with the boys. Just pop the top off all the way, man.
No, because it all looks silly when I do the same.
Oh, my God. Please do not take your shirt off, bro. Bro, if you took your shirt off right now, I would leave the room. Look at me. Look at what you could be, but you're too late.
And answer these questions.
Oh, my God. That's not a bad idea. James Marsden interviews people with his shirt off and asks
if there's ever time for me to start a new show, it'd be like,
dude, this is a hard interview for us to do because jury duty's fucking hilarious. So we got to talk about that.
Thank you.
He's a huge fan of 30 Rock.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
We've just found out about the Pop-Tart movie you're doing, and I like solely run on Pop-Tarts.
We have a huge box right over there.
Huge box of like a million flavors.
They're so good, aren't they?
And not to mention, X-Men, everything else, Sonic, everything else we did an interview with Russell Crowe a week ago, and we didn't talk about Gladiator. We didn't get to Gladiator with Russell Crowe, and you're one of those guys right now where I'm like, I don't even know what we're going to do because there's too many projects.
I'm not going to tell you what they are, so you better figure it out.
Well, dude, jury duty is... it's more than just like a good show because it's like this is like a experiment, social media, TV, everything together. So the way that it's already started, and I think will continue to spread like wildfire, where it's not just like, hey, have you seen that show? Have you seen Succession? It's great. It's like, have you seen Jury Duty? Do you understand what it is? I want to tell you about it. Like, do you get the joke? You want to like tell. I want to tell everybody about it. There's this guy, and he doesn't know what's going on. So. And there's been a couple of those along like throughout the years, but this one is like top notch, well done. So
this is the first one I remember where because we talked about one. Have you ever heard of The Push?
The Push.
It was a Netflix show.
The Push was sick.
Where it was only like an hour and a half documentary. I think it wasn't even a documentary, but whatever, hour and a half show. And it's a similar concept where it's like one person who doesn't know what's going on, everyone else is actors. Only it's not a comedy, and they convince this person to kill somebody. And in the person's head, that like it ends with like there's I forget how they get to where they are.
The basics were they're at like a cocktail party. Somebody accidentally served a allergy, like a food with an allergy. Somebody ate it. That person got in trouble, and then they're like, we got to push this person off the edge of the roof. And some people who were on the show were like, no, and there were other people who were like, all right, we got. They
literally push him. And the guy's on bungee cords, and they actually push him off the roof.
And then the guy who's like not a part of the show was like, okay, like now I'm an accessory. Like we got to get out of here. Like crazy shit. And then they put their face on the show, and like at the end they're like, haha, it was a prank. And I was like, I don't think I'd put my face on there, knowing that I basically would agree to murder.
So there was one guy that didn't know that it was just all a script.
Yeah, and so he thinks he's pushing someone off to their death. And he pushes him, and then the guy, there's like a net blow, and the guy's on a safety harness and all that stuff.
Is that incriminating to some degree?
That's why I was like, how do you not...
degree of
pre-crime, lock that guy up.
You're a juror, you tell us.
But it was like an experiment in how to manipulate someone. Every little thing they did, like that allergy thing, it was like, I should stop you from eating it. And they were like, no, don't do that. And it was like, okay, I'll agree to do that. I'll agree to do this. And it built up to murder.
Right. I mean, and Sacha Baron Cohen is great at making somebody look like an ass or getting them to do something that they normally might not. But it's usually targeted at somebody who might be asking for it.
Yeah.
I feel really like this is a tricky genre, right?
Totally.
Like Jury Duty was pitched to me by the Office creators, right? It was like Lee Eisenberg, Gene Stupnitsky, David Bernard, the creator of White Lotus, and Todd Schulman, who does all of Sasha's stuff. And it was like, number one out of the gates, it was like, I don't want to do a prank show. I'm not.
Yeah, pranks
are prank somebody, and it's like, who doesn't know, he's in the dark.
Especially
like,
what pranks have become on the internet. It's like, I walk up to you and I punch you in the face.
Right,
it's a prank.
it gets cruel, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, but where can we have? I was very excited about doing something that was improv based. Right, I love all the old Christopher Guest movies. I love The Office. I love Larry David, Larry Sanders Show, all this kind of stuff.
That's actually, speaking of Larry David, I would, and this is incredibly high praise, when I first started watching Curb, 15 years ago, whenever it was,
Yeah.
I could only watch 2 episodes at a time because the tension and
So
it was
awkward.
so much.
Anxiety inducing.
I did tour jury
Right.
duty last night, and I was like, I gotta go to bed.
I can't do it anymore.
And then I did 2 the next
I
day.
love it. I love it. I love it. I tried to turn my mom onto it. She's like, I can't watch it. It's too uncomfortable.
I had a
Too
pillow.
real.
I had a
Yeah.
pillow on my lap. I was just squeezing tight.
Yeah. But I said, but I would love to get into a room and play with all these great improv people. It's something I'd never really exercised before. And they said, but here's the deal. Like, concept is kind of a high wire act where for 3 weeks we're with the backdrop of people serving jury duty for 3 weeks on a civil case. We populate the room with one celebrity who's like whatever you want, like an exaggerated version of yourself. A bunch of improv people who aren't really recognizable because otherwise, and then one guy who doesn't know that the whole thing is fake. And I'm like, okay, but that sounds like a prank. And they said, no. What we're doing is creating a hero's journey for this guy. We're surrounding him with odd, weird circumstances. There were 8 scripts. It was all scripted, but there was no dialogue script. So it was like, okay, this is the moment where Marsden goes over and tries to talk about all his movies and like, get attention. Here's the moment where Todd pulls out his chair pants, right? His chance. So all of that was very carefully crafted, but I was not prepared for, and nor could you, this guy who is, comes from wherever he comes from, and it's so subjective about like what's going to embarrass the guy or make him laugh or make him, or if he's going to know who the hell I am,
Right.
So you had to. It was exciting because you kind of had to be nimble and be able to pivot. Like if he wanted to turn right and we wanted him to turn left, we have to turn right with him.
Yeah.
We have to sort of adjust.
Totally.
But ethically, I was like, oh, I just want to make sure that this won't get cruel. I'm never going to, and I had this conversation with the producers every day, and they were with me. I can't turn the screws to this guy. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do anything that's going to humiliate him.
Right.
I'll act like a jackass.
As far as I've seen, thus
To
far.
the nth degree. I'll go nuts.
Yeah.
And I did. But
Although there is the one scene where he actually a jackass. We were just talking
Dude,
about.
the Sonic.
Oh, right.
For him to just be like, you were like, yeah, I'm in Sonic, and he's like, I heard that was a piece of shit. I was like,
that was to me
who would do that? Are you
comedy
crazy?
gold. Like it just, I mean, not in the sense that I'm making fun of Ronald, but it was like if I'm playing this character, the heightened version of James Marsden, who is not interested in any conversation that doesn't involve a project that he's worked on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, that's like he just
perfect
opened
thing,
the
yeah.
doors up for me to just be crestfallen,
Right.
And then talk about, well, yeah, a lot of people did love it. It made a lot of money, and because if it is
I
like,
could
oh,
not
you're great
imagine
in that,
doing
that's cool,
Yeah.
it's not as.
And then
it's not
when
as
he
funny.
comes back in the next day, I humbled myself before you.
I mean,
Like,
listen,
you can't script it. You
the
literally
guy
can't
is
script it.
the guy is so pure-hearted.
Even the fact that he's named Ronald. At one point, I was like, am I getting played? Is he an actor too? Because it was that
Buddy,
good that I was like, wait a minute, this can't be real.
Right. And there were a couple of other interviews I've done just doing press for this. They've said the same thing.
Really?
It was so.
I mean, that's
real. I
got
was
to be the
like, is
highest.
This guy an actor too.
That's got to be the highest compliment you can pay. I guess so. The background was what? That he replied to a Craigslist ad saying
Yeah, I don't know if it was
we're
Craigslist.
going to do a documentary and like
Yeah.
that. Because I was like, why would this guy take it so seriously? Why would he be willing to do all these confessionals and talk about all this stuff?
Yeah.
And I guess it was something that he like agreed upon ahead of time. So he's like, all right, I'll do
screw
it
this
for real.
up because I wasn't part of that process. But my thought is that he was told that there was going to be a documentary made on jury duty.
Right.
And in doing the documentary, you're also going to serve your jury duty.
Got it. So you're just like, I have to do it.
And he's just kind of. And I remember seeing or hearing him talk about an interview that they did with him when they were kind of selecting who's going to be on this. Obviously, him not knowing that this was all fake, but him saying that he was at a stage of his life where he was open to adventure or something. That next stage was,
So it's just like
kind
the
of be
perfect,
open and curious about
perfect
what
mark.
life brings you next. Again,
Yeah.
I feel it's not my jurisdiction to answer that for him, but that was the feeling, was that he was, kind of like open to whatever, and he was probably like, the people following him around with cameras, it's going to be a jury duty documentary. Like, who's going to watch that?
Yeah.
It's going to go to, public broadcast or something.
Much like The Office, what the characters thought in The Office, like no one's ever gonna watch this. Like when Michael like finally hands his mic off, he's like, if anyone ever sees this, I guess let me know. Like those characters didn't think anyone was gonna see it.
Well, then I every job you hope people are going to tune in and check it out, but you just never know. And just this weekend, the fact that everyone's going, it took over TikTok over the weekend.
It's so funny how that works, right?
One, I don't even know what that means. Right? Two, it's like, wait, so they're on TikTok, but the show is on Amazon Freevee. Are they like watching it?
Yeah, are they watching
the
it?
clips are on TikTok, and that kind of lures people in.
Yeah, like
the
it
clips
just
are like
goes.
shows like that too. Not like that. 'Cause I don't have a ton of experience in them, but like the push and like that. Like it doesn't feel like this feels like a combination of a reality and a TV show. Because like I thought I went into it thinking, okay, this guy is going to be the focal point of everything.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was going to be, whether it's scripted or non-scripted, just like two characters talking to each other who you know aren't
so
fake.
so
like,
when Ronald's not involved,
Right.
and it's two actors, and Ronald's not even in earshot.
Yep.
Are you're doing that just to keep the show going and to keep it like you know?
some of that's
This-
even like
right.
that's some of the best stuff.
When we were in-
the Cody thing with is hilarious,
Right.
and
that was
Ronald's not even
scripted.
involved in
that.
that.
Was scripted, but it wasn't. Again, no dialogue scripted, but it was like, here's a beat that we're going to push, and it was Lee and Gene and all the brilliant writers that were a part of this. Like the poor kid who's lost his girlfriend, went to Mexico, and I think he's Mormon or something, and he wanted to go because they were going to have sex for the first time, and now she's there with some guy with a boner, and
Which, by the way,
Use the boner filter.
I took issue with that. He either has, I think he has a little penis
Because of the way it was.
because it's coming right out, and if
I
he's
remember
boned
seeing
up.
it going like, that's not as egregiously big as it could be, but also maybe they were like, if it gets bigger than this, it might be a little too
Silly,
goofy, goofy, right?
Yeah.
It's already goofy that she's posting it on her Instagram, and he's got a sword sticking out of it. I forget why I brought that up though, but
So what we were talking about, the actors doing their parts that are scripted.
oh right,
Yeah.
so when you're in there, so every day, the actors, the writers, the director, everyone would show up there at the courthouse before Ronald got there, go over for an hour the day. Here's what happens today. Here's the beats we're going to push. Marsden, this is where we talk about the script, the Lone Pine. Here's, and so you're sort of prepared for, it's a little rehearsal. And then everyone gets in their car, leaves, hides around the corner, and then he arrives in his bus, and then we all arrive at jury duty. And once you walk through that door for 4 hours, you're in a pressure cooker.
I was gonna say that's gotta be like. Are you nervous?
Oh,
like
I've never been more exhausted in my life.
Yeah, like,
But
that's
in
a
the
whole different type of
you're in
acting.
character all day long,
Yeah.
and not only are you in character, you're trying not to screw the whole thing up.
Sure.
Because you're going to call one of the actors by their real name and not their like character name, or you're going to do something that's going to make him go, "What the fuck is going on?"
Was there any of
here?"
those
Right?
moments?
Sure, there were some close ones.
Yeah.
There was a bit at the metal detector where the security guard got into an argument with one of our cast members. I mean, they're both cast members.
Right.
And it got kind of
Too silly.
a little bit, I
yeah.
think. And he was like, this can't be real.
So that was my thought. Like even Jury going on a field trip to the factory in question,
Yeah.
and like looking around like detectives. I
Right.
was like, I would like to think that I would say like, wait a minute, this is not how fucking
Not-
jury duty goes. But I think it's one of those things where you just
Right.
Oh, that
If they
wouldn't
tell you
give
to
me
do it?
pause at all.
you,
Like,
walking
you,
around
like,
with flashlights, looking at the fucking mannequins,
Well, I
and being
think
like,
probably the sort of creative license they took there was that this is a jury duty documentary.
Right. So
the
some things
judge
will be a
is
little,
going to- and the
little bit
judge is like,
wacky.
this is his last case.
Yeah.
he's
I
gonna-
feel like I feel like you would go to the scene of the crime.
like the whole jury.
If you told me that's what happened, I'd go. That makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. But to answer your question before, because you can't always be next to Ronald and you are with other actors, and that's when I had a lot of the fun, which is with somebody who also knows
In on the
it,
joke,
right?
yeah.
And there were camera guys kind of following this conversation over here, and another guy was following this conversation. Another guy was on Ronald. hearing what he
Well,
was
that's
talking
what also
about.
makes it feel so real, right? If
Right.
no one was talking when Ronald,
If
he'd
it
be
was
like, "What's going
camera
on?"
on him the whole time, he'd
Right.
be like, "What's up?"
Right.
So, and it was easier to push some of the comedy moments. There's a moment where this is completely not scripted in any way, where I was literally sitting there taking a real nap. 'Cause you're there for 5 hours. And like, my beat
That was
is
real?
not
When
today.
you were asleep?
Yes. They're sitting there where I'm working out because we're in a windowless box all day. And
I got to get my reps in, man.
I was doing push-ups. I was like, I'm doing this show jury duty. I don't know if anyone's going to see it. Whatever. Let's get a workout in.
I got to worry about my next blockbuster.
Yeah,
Fuck
so you
this.
Sort of
Fans
blurred
going?
line of reality and scripted. It's
Yeah.
like we were in there.
So yeah, that's so funny to think of. Like, it's a hit now, and I think it's about in the next couple weeks. I really think it's about to blow up. But when you're doing it, you're probably like, yelling at your agent. Is it even worth my time?
I mean, you
That's
just
so
didn't know
funny,
because
yeah.
you can't think. I couldn't think of any comps, right?
Yeah,
what
yeah.
What's another show like this that
Good for you for going on a limb and doing it.
I was
'cause-
like, listen, I've always wanted to do the improv thing. I love the show creators. You're in great hands with those guys, and the concept was pretty
so good.
ambitious,
So good.
ambitious.
So good.
And I thought, David and Lee and Gene, those guys were like, again, good company to be in. So you're in good hands. But sure, a week in, I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And is this going to be cruel at the end of this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, is this
So, and maybe I don't want to spoil it. So maybe we can air this later, Nick, or something. What was the reveal like? Was there we haven't seen it yet.
Well,
so
I
we
don't
even
wanna know.
But,
I mean,
but no, I want to know like what did he not the show, but like
Right.
did he? Was there moments off camera where he was like mad? Was he like fuck you guys? Was he laughing like? Or is that part of it? I don't want to spoil it, but
the one thing that makes this thing really work is that guy is such a pure-hearted, good, decent human being.
It really is, yeah.
And there were characters that were designed to, put him off, like scare him or like freak him out. And the guy literally just put his arm around those characters. Like there's a guy named Todd with the chair pants.
Yeah.
And he's weird and slipping him notes under his door. And, everything. And you could tell that Ronald was
Yeah, he just replies. He's just like
such an
nods back.
empath and
Just
sweet
a
guy.
nice
He's
guy.
like, I'm going to show you Bug's life because it's about this guy who feels different. Like, oh my God, this guy's a gem.
Yeah, he really is.
So again, another reason why I didn't want to ever turn the screws to him because it's just unfair to like make fun of him.
Yeah.
Especially if what we're doing is really by the end of this, celebrating this guy and his spirit and his like, that he sort of had his 12 Angry Men moment where he united us all and became the leader. And then hopefully the journey along the way is funny and fun and because of me being a jackass and and all the other characters being strange and weird and
I'm still holding out. I think there might be a big reveal coming for you that Ronald was in on this the whole time.
believe me. Okay, so
because I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say because I watch so much weird TV that I was telling him earlier you couldn't get me in this because I already recognized 3 characters.
Yeah, there are some
Kirby Fox
outside
and-
of you.
Yeah.
The
Mecky.
there's the old woman who
Barbara.
not the one who falls asleep, the one who just says it's not for me.
That was so good.
Oh, really?
It's just not for me.
Not for me.
Then there's I forget their names.
Dude, I noticed the guy from Sex Lives of College Girls. Like,
Yeah, that's Mecky,
He's noticing like the white supremacists from the bar really quickly.
He's-
He watches too much TV.
He's in I Think You Should Leave.
Right, he's
and
the-
also Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then I think his name's Todd. No, not Todd, obviously. He's got brown hair. He's kind of disheveled, taller guy. Lanky.
Yeah, Kirk Fox.
Yeah,
from Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
Parks
yeah.
and Rec, right.
Yeah, I mean,
And so-
that's the other risk. If you notice anybody other than you, it would have just been like, well, wait a minute.
You just
this
have
is-
to pivot.
Yeah.
Because Ronald said something early on about, I think he made a Parks and Rec like reference.
Oh, really?
And so Kurt had so much more to do. And they were like, you have to like back up.
Oh,
No
shit.
way,
Like,
really.
we have to back up
'Cause
so
he's gonna-
every day you're adjusting to what this guy.
That
who
sucks
he
for him,
is
but
and
that's
what-
cool. That's a
I know.
cool
and he was
tidbit.
one of the funniest things in the whole thing. But
Yeah.
you
Was
said
the-
something about like I would think that it's still like going on or that I'm being
Yeah, like what if at the
Yeah.
very end, episode 8 airs, and then it's like, actually, we hired him first, and we
Listen.
lied to you guys.
one of the first things out of my mouth when
Really?
I started, I was like, you better not be fucking.
Yeah,
And I called
because I'm gonna look like the idiot
Ben
then.
Schwartz,
Yeah.
who's the voice of Sonic,
Yeah.
a good
Right.
friend of mine. I was like, I'm getting ready to do this thing that's so improv based, and this is all Ben does.
Yeah.
Right? He does these shows where he just talks to the audience and does a whole show based on improv. I said, give me some tips. What if this and that? And like, what do you think about this? And he goes, make sure you're not
You're
the
not
one
the
being
mark.
punked.
Yeah,
I'm like, how?
Right? How could you do that?
How?
Because they're
And
just
like,
so
this
good
is
at
too-
lying.
No, because I saw the control room and the earpieces and the whole thing, and we had the rehearsals.
Wouldn't
and everything,
that be
Oh,
unbelievable? Though?
Even
If you
more,
were the
of course, but I was like, no way, no way,
couldn't be.
no way.
That is because it started out on pranks on the internet, and then so Sacha Baron Cohen does his thing, and then Eric Andre and Tim Rom it's been done so much that it's like we got to keep one upping it. So what the one way to do it would be to
flip it and
prank the prankers or whatever you want to call it.
That was first thing out of Ben's mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, you better make sure it's not about you.
It's like in Rounders, how to spot the sucker. If you can't spot the sucker in 30 minutes, you are the sucker.
Right.
It's like if it's a little too good to be true.
Believe me, there were 2 days before I had several thoughts. One was, can I even do this? Am I going to be good enough in that flying without a net? Because I'd never really done improv before, but I love the idea of sending up the kind of entitled Hollywood celebrity, playing that version of myself.
Bro, when you're just grabbing things at the factory, dude, just pulling on things. So
everyman, he's an everyman. So much fun.
What was it? We're gonna go to Margaritaville afterwards. A little too rich for my blood. I'm playing Caleb now.
I look like I got that kind of money.
Dude, when you were in the forklift or whatever it was, because I don't know these things either. When I was like, and you're like, I was like, is he about to drive that thing? And then they cut to them he's not even licensed to do this.
So much stuff. I mean, I actually think I started it up at one point, and the producer's like, this is a liability. But I was thinking, am I going to be able to do this? I don't want to screw it up. And also, is this, do I feel okay with messing with this guy? And then I was also thinking, what if this whole thing is punking me?
Yeah.
There was so many thoughts going into it. Jesus, this is scary because it's like
That's
live
gotta
theater.
Be cool. I mean, it's different. At the very least, it's just different than anything else you're doing. Even if you're worried about it, it's at least gives you a little switch up from the regular roles and the regular process.
The reason why, I don't know why it's blowing up on TikTok over the weekend, but my feeling is that there's really an appetite now for something that's just not been done.
It's different.
There's been versions. They did the Joe Schmo show back in the day. It was 15 years ago. But even that sort of skewed a little cruel. And we were really careful this time to have it be fun and funny, but we're really celebrating this guy by the end of it.
But it is interesting how fast, because you mentioned to me first.
It's funny how these things go, whether it's a show or a movie or a song or whatever you're talking about, whatever piece of media. One person in real life mentions it to me.
Yeah.
And then that next second I open up my Twitter and I see a tweet about it. And then I hear about it. And it always is that way where you go, wait a minute. If 3 or 4 people from different walks of life brought it up to me in the same day, that probably means it's going everywhere. And then that's what we try to find those things here and what we do. So, my antenna kind of goes up where it's like, this is something.
Last night, you mentioned to me on Monday, and I went home yesterday, and I was at dinner with most of my family. And I was talking to my aunt, who's she's a huge consumer of television, things like that. But she's also 65, 70, whatever she is.
Right.
And
every different walk of life.
And she's like, have you seen Jury Duty yet? And I was like, actually, no, but I'm interviewing James Marsden tomorrow. And then my younger sister, who's 25, piped up from down the table. She's like, wait, you guys talking about Jury Duty down there? And I was like, oh, shit.
Because you know what it is? It's like, if you watch a show, you can discuss the characters and the plot and all that. Yeah. But it's just what do you think of the plot? This is you can discuss what we just did. Are they in on it? Is he in on it? Is this a prank? Is that a prank? What was real? What wasn't? Do you think, it's there's a million ways to talk about this.
I've never been a part of a project before, and I've been doing this for 30 years, where I have more to talk about than this show.
Yeah.
Because it was as much of an adventure for me as it was for him.
Right.
We all were going through this uncharted territory of how to and pins and needles at the beginning, no one wanted to screw it up.
Yeah.
Right? Is it going to work? Am I going to sit in the right spot? What's he going to do? Is he going to get up and leave? Is it, and so you just have to kind of, it's a pressure cooker. You're in there going, I don't know what this, and at the end of it, when the reveal happens, I won't spoil it, but everyone's buttholes were clenched. Is this guy going to freak out? Is he going to throw chairs at us? Is he going to cry? Is he going to feel embarrassed?
I don't know.
Is he going to laugh?
Is he going to, How do you think you'd react?
I think
in the moment I wouldn't. I think that would be
sense of relief, all with also you motherfuckers.
Well, I'm sure
Like,
by the time we see episode 8, he's probably like doing the craziest shit. I'm sure, right? So
Well,
it's like I'm
yeah.
sure he'd be relieved that it's over. But I feel like maybe like a day or two later, I'd be like, these motherfuckers, you know,
Right.
like almost a sense.
He
It's
said
like the
in
12 stages of
interviews-
grieving, almost.
Right,
you know,
right.
Yeah.
He said in interviews, he was like, when it happened, again, I don't want to spoil it, but he was like, I just kind of had to, it was such an overwhelming
Yeah.
feeling. I mean, because that's a long time
to get
to
played
be in the
to be
dark,
doing something
to be
Yeah.
bamboozled, even though he wasn't the butt of the joke, but I would be thinking, what the fuck did I say?
Right.
What did I do?
Yeah, oh,
Did
yeah.
I do this?
And then
Where were
also
there
not
cameras that I
knowing-
didn't know there were?
Not
you know?
knowing that it, now he's probably like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
the show's
yeah.
blowing up. But in
Yeah.
the moment, you're probably like, well, wait a minute,
And the other thing that was important to me was that he's forged real friendships and relationships.
Yeah.
This
You
whole
guys all
thing.
keep in
and that
touch?
He was like not going, and that he's not going. Well,
Oh, right.
is that
right.
all
Yeah.
fake?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
the first words out of our mouth were like, "Listen, yes, this was all scripted stuff and
Right.
whatever, but." It was, we're here to hoist you on our shoulders and celebrate who you are and that you united us.
Dude,
and
that
whatever.
guy. I sent the message to him. I want to get him on the show too because like
He's-
he has a singular experience that maybe like literally no one else on the planet
Right,
Earth could
it's
ever.
the Truman Show for
yeah,
real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because even when Sasha does his stuff, it's it's somebody that sort of deserves to be lampooned.
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And this guy didn't really ask for that.
No.
You had to
But
have
it's
a
also
conversation
just for a
with
few
him.
minutes.
What's
right?
that?
It's just when Sasha does it.
Right,
It's
it's one
like for
interview.
half a day.
Right,
Or
yeah.
This is 3 weeks of this guy's life.
Right.
And the first thing out of our mouth was like, I told the producers, like, I'm not going, hey, that was fun. See ya. Like,
Yeah.
we went for beer last week. Well,
That's
we
awesome.
hang out. He hangs out with the cast still.
Very cool. That's
So it's
very-
like that was important. to me.
It is truly a feel good. Like it makes me smile. Thinking about it.
it's
cool.
it's got that good balance because sometimes it's like a zero something, like an either or. Like we either like the audience is either howling at making fun of this guy, or it's like the balance that was tricky to strike was like this has to be something where we're actually celebrating this guy's spirit,
Yeah.
and who he is
While
as a
enjoying,
person,
like,
that
the-
he became this leader. But it also, we don't want it to be too earnest and just
Yeah,
like a feel
yeah.
good, so it's got to be a fun ride. along
Yeah.
the
What
way.
if?
You have
Could
to
you
have
imagine
the-
if he was like, if he went crazy? If he was like, you
Believe me, I
fuck-
thought of
throwing
all
chairs.
of it. It's like again, like it's so I don't know his history.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
what's,
know,
what
James
sets
Marsden
him
gets
off.
punched in the face on the set of his new show because a prank went
There's
wrong. Or
I wish we
something.
were talking about this after this weekend because there's there's a scene in one of the episodes this weekend where I do something kind of really shitty,
Yeah.
and that was the scene I was most worried about because I was like, this guy might came in. I mean, he's 6'6". This guy.
Whoa! I don't think I
Super
realized
tall.
that. That's
No, I
that's
look
crazy
like a
in and of
shrimp
itself.
next to him. I'm like 5'10". He's 6'6".
Jesus.
And I thought, boy, if I do this and really go for it, he might just slug me.
Yeah.
Because like Sasha gets that, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah.
tackled and hit by people. I'm like, because it's a moment where I'm doing something really just egocentric prick kind of thing.
Well, if the first 4 episodes are any indication, yeah, I can understand that.
And of course, if you know the scripted, situation,
Yeah, that was
it's hilarious.
When you pop up, oh, it's just a jump scare.
Jump scare in a script.
What?
This is airing Tuesday.
This is airing Tuesday, so
Oh, it is. Okay,
Okay, so-
like 5, 6. Okay, yeah. So it is airing Tuesday. All right. Well,
And I'll double check and like if we need to pull it. and
yeah, we
pull it
won't
for
we won't
later.
put anything.
I'm auditioning for this movie, and I make sure he knows that I don't normally audition, 'cause, but this guy's a big auteur, and I'm so cocky. He helps me with the audition. I go to his hotel, and he helps me, and so we're like auditioning. And I'm being kind of stupid and crazy, and the next day at back when our group interview, the bailiff comes in with a phone, and I'm like, oh, it's my agent. And I'm like, here, I'm putting you on speakerphone because I think it's like the call that you got the job.
Yeah.
And like, it turns out I didn't get the job. And I'm like, wait, you're on speakerphone. And I get walk out. And then I'm, of course, in a foul mood. And one of the jurors, it's his birthday. And so the rest of the jurors are celebrating a birthday party in the park to celebrate his birthday. I hear word of a party going on in the park, and I think it's a pity party for me to make me feel better.
I mean,
So I
everything
literally like
revolves
my
around you.
bailiff pulls up and he goes, "You want me?" I was like, "This will be quick." And I get, and it's scripted that like I come over and like, "Wow, this is really sweet. This is it's gonna make someone feel really happy." but I don't want it. And like, and it's scripted that I destroy the entire party. And they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "This is gonna. Oh, let's feel sorry for the guy from The Notebook." Sure. Like, this isn't gonna make me feel good.
That's so crazy.
I've dealt with rejection my whole career. Let me do it on my own terms. And they're like, "This is Ross's birthday party, you dipshit." And I'm like, "Who's Ross?" I'm like, "Who's Ross? You've been in a room with him for 3 weeks." And I'm like, "You thought it was for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, who would it be for?" Anyway, so I thought I was going to do this and destroy this party, and this guy was going to come over and tackle me.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know how he was going to respond. And so I saw out of the corner of my eye, he kind of hung his head. And I could tell he was like, he felt bad for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I can't do all of this. So I flipped the cake, and then I saw him do that and kind of get deflated, and I had to pull it back because I was
That's
like, man,
cool though. Like,
I'm
I
not
mean-
gonna. He's such an empath, and he cared so much about anybody who was feeling uncomfortable or upset that it affected him.
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry guys. When afterwards, I was like, I know I was supposed to rip down the streamers and pop every balloon and
But you
throw
couldn't
the
do
cake
it.
and.
I'm sure that was the right call
couldn't-
though. Like in the
it
moment,
was enough.
You know?
It was enough
Yeah.
because, and then I was like, okay, well, I know this is cheating, but can we go back after with the reveal and shoot me just losing my shit? But we're like, nah,
Nah,
can't
keep
do
it real.
that.
Yeah.
Cheating.
It's as much an experiment for them probably as it is for the viewer and everything else.
So
you know?
it was enough, and then it was like because he hung his head, I wasn't scripted to come back, but I come back with a cake, like a congrats, it's a girl cake. For Ross's
Sorry,
birthday.
here you go.
I'm sorry if I'm ruining. I mean, I know this is airing Tuesday, but you guys haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
so I'm
no,
looking it up.
that's great.
But anyway, the point is that there were parts where it was like you just don't know what's going to set him off or how he's going to react.
Yeah,
He could have beat the shit out of me,
it's so cool.
and instead he felt sad for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that doesn't
What I
feel
wonder
good.
what the
I want him
what
to
does it
laugh
take-
at me.
Yeah.
What does it take for Ronald, this guy? That's the next show. Like how can we get Ronald to get mad or to I mean, he seems like the nicest dude ever.
He really is.
And how lucky do you get as like producers to find
to know
that,
to know that that's gonna because that's you just don't. You can do. I mean, I know the producers interviewed him quite a bit before we started and.
I'm sure there was other candidates, right? Or
Yeah,
not?
sure. I think they were meeting with a lot of people, and they didn't tell him that or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think they told him that some of the other actors were also interviewed to come do this. But he didn't know they were actors, of course.
Right.
You can tell how like he's not like someone who wants to be the foreman. You feel like he's probably going to be kind of an ass.
Yeah.
And you can tell how he like kind of got bullied into that, and then how he's like I'm a good guy and people need me, so I'll just figure it out. And I thought that was the clearest at Margaritaville, where everyone's like,
Two moments.
ask James, and he's like, he puts his head in his hand, he's like, all right, and he's like, you can see him like working up the courage, like
Those are two moments specifically that we struggled with, because we never wanted to make him feel like he had to do something he didn't want to do. And that was it. One was ask James to pick up the bill or arm wrestle him. He really did not want to arm wrestle me.
Did he?
Because
Did he really beat you?
Kidding, I'm 5'10". I was like, he'll arm wrestle me. He's 6'6". And then the other one was he didn't want to be the foreman.
Yeah.
And he's like, somehow in my life.
That was what jumped out at me because I've certainly had moments in my life in a different way where I'm like, these sort of things, different things, just like kind of always happen.
Find
to me.
you.
And it like enough times, like 10 times in the last couple of years, where it's like it really feels like there's something going on in the universe, and you could feel him be like, he probably told his friends like, I'm gonna end up being the foreperson. It's just the foreman. It'll be me, and like you could hear it in his voice, like the way that when the judge is like, one of you really stuck out with chutzpah, and he's like,
I ordered
like-
lunch. How is that me being a leader?
Nikki did. Was it Nikki or
yeah, he's like, I didn't
really
even
took
do that.
control of the lunch order.
Was that line improv? And I'm sure it was, or was that one scripted? the guy who falls off the filing cabinet, falls with the filing cabinet.
That was scripted.
when he's like, I'm just gonna go pound off or whatever he says. I'm gonna go rub one out.
Yeah, rubbing out. Yeah. Which is, by the way, the only thing he says in the whole show.
Yeah.
By design. Right? It's the only thing he says. Tim, his name's Tim, says one line. And so the writers were like, we wanted Ronald's experience with Tim to be his only exchange was, I'm gonna go rub one out. And so that when he gets hurt and we're all talking about all these cranes, the origami cranes that he made, so I painted mine. They don't show this in the show, but I colored mine like Cyclops. So he even made mine look like Cyclops. You don't really see it in the show. I was like, that'd be funny if he did. And Ron's like, I guess I didn't really get to know the guy. So that was by design. But it's just like the moments where you start to feel bad. Like he's like,
that's incredible.
Have you ever actually served on a jury?
I have.
You have?
I have.
Is it
It's a
comparable
funny
to the
story.
experience? Like, not obviously not the experience as a whole.
I
but-
was selected, but I forget what the case was.
I'd
but
imagine it's most
Well,
public
it's,
figures don't
everyone
get
going in is
chosen,
scared
right?
that they're going to bid on some 4-month-long murder
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
Well,
Please.
our friend Jackie here has a opinion that this is propaganda because she looks so fun that it's pro-juror.
She wants to be on
Our
jury
show
now.
is propaganda?
Yeah.
People to serve?
Yeah, this is
She's
all
like,
about the
I want to be on
justice.
jury duty now. It looks so fun.
Looks so fun. Yeah, the government is behind this. We're all getting
Big government.
minimum wage government to get people
Big
to do their
trials
civic
behind
duty
it.
and go serve jury duty.
Dude, my mom actually tried to get on one once, and my uncle was a lawyer or whatever. I don't know. Someone she was trying to pull strings.
Yeah.
She's like, you
To
got to
get
get me
on
on
it?
it. She's like, yeah, get me on the jury. She wanted to be on the Aaron Hernandez jury.
Good for her.
New England
God
woman,
bless.
He's like, what are you talking about? I can't get you on jury. He's like, get me on this jury. I want to be on this jury.
I got picked. I showed up, and voir dire is where you get asked questions of, are you biased or any reason you can't serve? And I remember when I walked into the courtroom, this is my real jury duty experience, there was so Hollywood, there was a wall of signed 8x10 headshots of people who had served jury duty. And I was
my
like, wow, shit, I'm
God.
serving.
Yeah.
They'd be like, we got another photo for the wall,
like that.
And I'm thinking, God, this is like in a government building. They have headshots.
That's crazy. You would think
No.
that would be way against the rules.
Right. So it came in, and they started asking. I tried to do the right thing. I was like, I wanted to be the James Marsden from the show and go. A couple of people have asked me for selfies. I'm gonna be a distraction. Maybe you should let me go. So I can get my coffee and go for a walk on the beach. And I said no, I don't have any bias. Whatever. Got selected. I'm like, of course. And then on the opening arguments, one of the attorneys, in the middle of his opening argument, turned to me in my jury seat and goes, "And by the way, I love everything you've done."
See,
I literally went to the judge like.
Adios.
And he just had this smile on his face, like, "This is cool." I have Cyclops.
Big 27 dresses guy.
Yeah. What do you know, Judge? That's the other thing about this show. There is so much that did not make the cut of the show. I feel like they could do a whole other season showing all the other bits.
With
we
how
did.
popular it is, I would hope they go back and do from the cutting room floor
There
or
was
something.
a full-on back and forth I had with the judge about getting out. When I say I went to, have you served on a jury before? And I say in Cannes.
Yeah.
In France.
That's so good.
Yeah, the film festival. I was like, no. It's like a civil jury, whatever. Civil case. Like, oh, no, sure. And then the judge is like, I don't recognize you. I'm sorry. Why do you know this gentleman? And we have a whole back and forth about and he goes, "Sir, do you know who John Ratzenberger is?" I was like, wasn't he a voice from the Pixar? He was, what's his name? From Cheers. And I had a thing, and if John Ratzenberg sat on my jury, then you can too. And we had a whole back and forth, and I started getting chippy with him. And he's like, "Sir, you watch your tone." Anyway,
Contempt
it's
of
just-
He's fantastic, the
they're
judge.
so good.
It's Ike Barinholtz, his father.
No way,
wow.
really?
Yeah,
Shit.
Ike Barinholtz, the actor. His father was a prosecutor his whole life, who then just got into acting later in life and was brilliant.
No
Wow.
And has now moved to LA to pursue acting. It's fully
Amazing.
It's incredible. And he anchors the whole thing, really. I mean, it was amazing that we found
Almost everybody,
the attorneys who have to
roles
go-
that they did, you know,
They found attorneys who are real practicing attorneys
and
who
the,
also
and the,
act
the
on
case
the side.
itself is so ridiculous. Like everything seems to just hit, you know.
Absurd. But there were moments too, like whenever there were a few moments where Ronald started to catch on. He was like, "This is a reality show. I feel like I'm gonna." And so then Jake Szymanski, the director, like when he got a chance to talk to us all, he's like, "Pull it back."
So then you'd have like a normal day. Well, normal.
Painfully boring day.
Yeah.
Where you're there for 4 hours.
Shit, so you're just
Cameras
doing
are
real jury
rolling.
duty.
Amazon's going, well, this is a waste of money.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to use any of this in the show.
But
the lawyers did the lawyer speak, and then for 4 hours, and sitting there, genuinely sleeping. And they're just like, we got to fill
gotta
what they
make
call
sure
the,
he's-
what do we call it? We call it the reality bank or the trust bank.
That's
So
cool.
anytime he started to catch on, we would just make
Like,
it.
no, this is really just a
drone
court case.
on in court, boring shit.
Very cool.
And then he was just like, we'll cut that out later. So that the point would be that he would go, well, this can't be a show because this would be a
Complete waste of time and money.
Right.
Shout out to Jeff Bezos. Just funding that one.
But that's the other thing too. If 2.5 weeks in, he went like, you all are actors. That's footage that would have been down the drain. And
Yeah.
all of these things were so carefully crafted, and the blinds are like hidden cameras behind doors and windows that are one-sided, that look like mirrors, but they're not. Like all of this was really, really carefully planned out.
Very cool.
And
So
anything
that
could
arm
pop up.
wrestling, when you're about to go into that, you're thinking, all right, he's 6'6", he's a big dude, he's gonna be able to arm wrestle.
My worry was that he would somehow not be strong at all.
right, and then it would just look
And then
ridiculous.
because I know I have to throw it.
yeah. And he would
So
be
that I
like,
have to pick
I
up the
just
bill."
beat James Marsden like
The
too
funny,
easy.
I told the previous person I was chatting with about the show. So the day before we shot that, it was scripted to be a complete other thing, and we were like, "There's no way this guy's not going to buy it." It was supposed to like the bill was $1,500, and the waitress says, "But we have this hot wing challenge that are our sanely scorching hottest in the world, ghost pepper, whatever hot wings. And if you eat 24 of them or whatever, then we'll pick up the bill." And what we were going to do is they were going to bring out the actual super, super hot wings, and a couple of cast members would take it. And like, I can't even, my eyes are burning. I can't even eat one of these or even half of it. And then we'd give Ronald a tray, which are of some that are kind of hot.
yeah,
And they were like, that's too thin.
yeah,
It's not going to work.
right.
And so we were literally the night before going, shit, we're already in this 2 weeks in,
What are we gonna do?
whatever, a week and a half. What do we do? And I said, what if we create something where it's a competition that someone can throw, like arm wrestling or whatever? And they're like, I think she could work. The tricky part is, what if he doesn't want to arm wrestle? What if he doesn't want to do it? And that's the hard thing, is like those moments where he didn't want to do something, that hurt.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to force
Force
this guy
someone
to
to
do
do it.
something
Yeah.
in this
But
world.
it's also harmless enough that it's a
Sure,
you know.
sure, but like it's still
Yeah.
like, yeah. So it was like, well, let's see how. And he didn't want to do it. He was like, "You get him to do it, Lonnie. You do it. You do it, whatever." And I was like, "Whatever." And I finally had to say, "You don't have to," because I was saying it like I'm an arm wrestler in this movie I'm auditioning for, that I'm
Right.
staying in character for. And then I finally had to say, "You don't even have to beat me. I just want to arm wrestle someone, and I'll pick up the bill."
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
So that takes the onus off, Right. And he came over. And then to this day, still Ronald's like, because he's a pal of mine now, he's like, "Did you
Throw it.
throw it? I really beat you."
You'll never know.
You'll never know, and we're never doing it again.
That is funny that that you guys are
great.
friends now to have the conversation where like I think about it like in any spy movie or something like that, or even in anything like where it's like everything was a lie. It's like, no, the lie was our introduction.
Right.
The rest of it is all
happens for real.
Like
Yeah.
That's
the
it.
emotion
Yeah.
we have
Sure.
is
I
all
mean,
real.
like, this guy's like emotionally invested in these friendships, and when we were too, obviously we had our narratives to push, for the comedy bits, but like we all fell in love with the guy. Fell in love with him.
It is crazy that it is rare that the reality show, and I don't consume a ton of reality, and I don't consider this a reality show. I don't know if you do.
I don't know what it is.
It's
Yeah,
its own
right.
thing. It's its
Yeah.
own like genre. It's an
Yeah.
experiment. It's
But
weird.
from the outside looking in, at most reality shows, it's very rare that someone comes out. People can come out more famous, but it's rare that like the comment is like, that's just a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, right. Like
So rare.
right,
So
like-
rare.
like-
Most times it's the opposite. It's like he's
Right.
famous, but that guy or girl's an asshole. Or whatever.
Right.
Right.
This guy, I think Ronald's about to become like a, a ladies' man,
I know,
a
I've seen
fan
the comments,
favorite.
people are like, he's the next Bachelor.
Yeah,
Like, dude, telling me. I mean, he's gonna be.
Yeah, he's a
gonna
very
be a
likable
phenomenon.
guy.
Yeah.
Which needed to be the case because if we were really doing the show that I agreed to, or that I thought we were doing, it needed to be it needed to be overly heavy-handed, sappy at the end, but it did. There needed to be a heart to the whole thing that we were celebrating this guy, that we weren't just because I wasn't interested in doing just a one-dimensional prank show. It's too easy, right?
Yeah.
It's, and even if someone's a prick and you want to like
Laugh at him.
laugh at them or make them feel like idiots, I still don't think it's a nice thing to do. And I like some of these
Well,
shows.
I mean, you guys nailed it in that regard because I mean, even just thinking about this interview, like we could have talked about X-Men, we could talk about Notebook. I mean, major
we still
movies.
can.
Yeah, we still can, but the fact
And we are, right?
Yeah.
That was just the
That
hors
was
d'oeuvre.
just the beginning. We got another 2 hours to go. But usually sometimes in these interviews, it's like, all right, let's talk about the project you got to promote,
Yeah.
and like we'll get to the stuff, everybody. But I'm like, give me more.
It's so much
But,
fun to talk about because I'd never done anything like it.
I wonder, did you know any of the other people who auditioned for that? Was there anybody else?
No. I mean, I'm sure that they weren't secretive about the process of selecting him, but
No. I mean for you.
oh, for me,
Like, did they have other major actors that
I
were,
had that question. I kind of had a what am I trying to say? I responded really quickly and maybe too quickly to like, well, this is exciting.
Yeah.
It's Lee and Gene. It's Todd Schulman. Like the scripts were hilarious. The idea of getting in a room full of like groundlings, Upright Citizens Brigade, and doing improv, and like me getting to finally fulfill this sort of
scratch that itch. Yeah.
Christopher Guest kind of like
Yeah.
unscripted but sort of outlined comedy was really exciting to me. And then I got in there and I started thinking like, oh right, but there's this other guy that we're fooling the whole time, and am I even going to be able to do this? And I thought, I went to David Bernad, the producer, and he's an old friend of mine. I said, who were you? Because I stepped in a week before we started shooting.
Oh, really?
They rehearsed all the other cast for another week before that. So I only had like 3 or 4 days of rehearsal of like, you need to sit here, you need to sit here, and this, and Ronald you need to somehow get next to him in the courtroom. And I started thinking, if I wasn't available, because I was doing Party Down right up until that day, and I said, if you didn't get me, who was going to be and he was like, I don't know.
Wow.
Really?
I don't know. Because
That's
it
cool.
couldn't be somebody like Nick Kroll or Eric Andre or somebody
Oh yeah, I definitely couldn't do that.
where it's
Yeah.
like you're a comedian.
right. You
and,
kind of are like a good.
and it's like
in between
you don't
of
want
that.
someone like too big of a celebrity or too, it was like, because in the jokes about him,
Yeah.
trying to be more of a celebrity than he is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And he was like, it was perfect. It's like why we came to you. Because
That's
he goes,
crazy.
I knew that you could do the comedy. And I just don't think you've ever done it before. And he knew how excited I was to get in there. And there's so many bits that aren't even in the scripts. Like there's a moment when Noah is upset about his girlfriend and the boner guy or whatever. And we're just sitting there. And I'm, again, literally taking a nap. And he sits next to me. And I feel Mecky sit next to me. And then I kind of look over this eye. I see that there's a camera on us. And I was like, it's all right, buddy. Don't worry about it. He's like, thanks, man. I'm like, look, everyone goes to Mexico to fuck.
That's one of my favorite lines.
How do I give this guy a pep talk, but also make him feel worse about the
You
whole
just get it
thing?
out of your system.
Yes.
You come back. Oh, it was so good.
And that was just
and his
kinda
reaction
on the
he was
fly.
just like, what the what?
That's why they don't have
So
coverage of
good.
me, because it was like on Mecky, and the other cameras were back there on Ronald, and I was hoping that they were catching it all, but it was just kind of on the fly. But I forgot why I brought that up, but it was just, I was so excited to get in and do all of that kind of stuff, and David was like, I know you'll get in that room, and you'll be, if you play that,
Crazy.
if you were able to like lampoon being the entitled Hollywood jackass,
Yeah.
like
Nailed it.
Let me go. I'm rich with background. With this.
I was gonna say.
So
Felt like you're getting something off your chest.
yeah, but I didn't know. I mean, I couldn't have been a comedian. It couldn't have been an obvious person. It had to be someone who could actually do the comedy, but also maybe be recognizable or have the power to have some sort of celebrity, juju over him, or not over him in a arrogant way, but like hopefully this guy starts to recognize that he's a celebrity and starts to think he's friends with him. And we're not real friends. No, we are very close. But
very cool.
But I just am like, who would have done this? And he's like, I think he brought up some other person's name. I'll think about it. There was someone else.
DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I don't know,
He wishes. No.
Is there other? Because you said like you'd never really done the comedy, but I guess because I was a 30 Rock fan, I think of you almost part as comedy. Have you not done much other than that?
No, I mean I've done a lot of scripted comedy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I
see what you're saying.
In fact,
I see what you're saying.
but this sort of like outline, you get in the room and no holds barred, you just whatever comes out of your mouth, right? Like the yes and improv rules.
Yeah.
And I don't know those rules, right? I just was going in going, I get to be this douchebag and you react.
You're a little too good at it, bro. You're a little too good at it.
You trying to get everyone to react to you buying lunch was so fucking funny.
I mean,
And
that was the very
even
first
Ronald's
day.
like, yeah, he's trying his best.
And I'm left with the bill, the whole thing. I don't know if it's in the show, but it was scripted that Marsden after that then turns to Ronald to see if he wants to go split seats with him.
I love it. I think it is Barbara because it was the other older woman we mentioned earlier, and she's like, I already bought mine. Can I do a receipt?
Oh, Barbara, by the way, there's, again, so many of these amazing players coming in here with so many other bits that just didn't make the show because it's 24 minutes an episode. And you do 7 episodes. And the 8th episode is well, it's like you would imagine like the reveal and kind of how we did it and whatever. But Barbara had a whole storyline where she kept talking. She could not stop talking about all the old superstar musicians that she fought.
I remember Jimi Hendrix. I sat on his lap. And Jimmy Buffett called me up to his condo.
And like, there's so much stuff. These fucking long bus rides to like, and we were all doing little bits. And I mean, it was so much.
I'm awake. It is unbelievable. They're telling us we have to wrap up, so we'll have to talk about
we got
all the
X-Men
other.
and
I know.
Seven
We blew our load talking too much jury duty. You'll have to come back. We'll talk about everything else you've done because Lord knows.
Now I'm becoming
else.
this guy. It feels too fun.
I mean, listen, you call the shots. You can tell them you want to stay.
Egocentric maniac Marsden.
But jury duty. It's on Freevee, but if you have Amazon, you can just watch it if you have Amazon Prime and any of those things. So, and you have to go watch.
So
it.
the way we're structuring it was this last weekend it was 4 episodes, and then I think 2 and 2.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought I was late, so I watched all
We got a
four
couple
this
weeks to
weekend.
talk too, because I think that's the way to
Right.
do it. Also, so
Right.
everybody go watch it. You are the man. Thank you so much, bro.
That was
Thank
a pleasure.
you so much, James. Pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
All right, big thanks for watching. If you made it through this whole episode, that means you should be subscribed. There's so many of you out there who watch and don't subscribe, so make sure you are a KFC Radio subscriber. Make sure you get all the content when it drops. Click that button now.
I have 9 fingers. I'm still subscribed. It's that easy.